welcome to Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel, where I'm just getting a few things set up so that we can get going. There's our music. Hello, Mask of the Red Death. I'm gonna do some Geoguessr. Roast some reactionary bullshit. The usual thing. Okay. Scuffed looking infrastructure, but it doesn't quite look like the US. Teodoro algo. Okay, this... yeah, definitely not. Someplace Spanish speaking, it looks like. Oh no, Budislav svoj grad. Okay, Glasaj. Okay, we're in the Balkans. Oh, you know what those cylinders are? That is for subsequent construction. You see that a lot in Chile. Just in case the money ever comes in to build another floor, people have these things up there that are sort of the... yeah, if they want to build another floor or something. They've already got some of the underpinnings of it. Eres. Okay, Serbska. Redovna gradska linia, broj 17. Yeah. Okay, I think we are in Beograd. Yep. Da kažemo da je Beograd. Oh, well. Oh, it's Novi Sad, 71 kilometers off. Not too bad, though. Okay, this, on the other hand, feels kind of North American-y. So I have a couple of projects going on. I want to talk about... okay, let me see. Salisbury Back Road. Oh, okay, we are in Canada. Hey, Ludlow. See, you can tell, because notice this. Che for chemin, and road on the other side. Okay, I think we are in the far south of Quebec, because there you have a lot of English place names. You know, also have a lot of streets that end abruptly because the border. So, let me see. Vermont, Hemmingford, Dunham, Lac Brome. So, the two projects that I've got going, you'll notice there's a new progress bar on the screen. That is for the current crowdfunded translation. Oh, I've never been dropped near there. Explored it a fair bit on Google Street View, though. I've been approached actually by Mask of the Red Death to do an English translation of a book-length theoretical work by Alexandra Kollontai, which amazingly has not been translated in full before. There's a heavily abridged translation, but that into English. But other than that, it's been totally neglected. So I am raising funds to cover the cost of translating that. The first goal is to translate the introduction. The amount I'm trying to raise is 684.40. That's 6,844 words at 10 cents a word. So that is the one project. You also read about it in more detail over on my Patreon. And the other is, actually, this is also something that I was prompted to do. Okay, it depends where you are. Because that is one thing that is very different between, say, Quebec and France. I mean, in France, it's like, and in Quebec, it's more like, ein, schmein, vin. Barrington, Sherrington, shit, 540. Oh, we were all the way over in New Brunswick. Of course, Akadzi, Tabarnak. Okay, this has got to be Japan. This immediately just feels like Japan. I mean, I guess it could be Taiwan. Yeah, it's Taiwan. Kyoto's gorgeous. I got to visit there briefly in the 90s. Okay, so we are someplace in Taiwan. Oh, yes. Okay, we got a motorway. And we're on the wrong side of the sign. Oh, but it doesn't matter, because there's another sign. 那朝左高速公路3号. Okay, so you can also figure out it's Kyoto because there's one thing that Kyoto has over all of the cities in Japan, and that is it basically didn't get bombed. So it is the only place where there's still a significant amount of like old Japanese architecture, not reproduced buildings, but the actual originals. Ah, 乔助. One 鸟 姓华姓氏 Okay. 东山台南下野下野五更以内第三号 Okay, where is this Chojo? Weng Cuo Zhonghe 15 yen. Oh, where the hell is Chojo? Guandian. Guanmiao. Lian. Let's see if we got any other. Well, we've also got Route 88. Oh, come on. So the other thing, and this is actually something I was also reminded by Mask of the Red Death, in fact, on the Discord, that, here we go, Chojo, that I wanted to do, is the first video in a series that is going to look at a series of murders by a fascist network in Germany called the Nationalsozialistischer Untergrund. And the reason it's interesting is that it is so heavily investigated that it is one of the best looks in we have into the relationship between fascist paramilitaries and the state. Because there have been so many different investigative committees, all sorts of things like that, and so we know a whole lot about it. And so it is next to the case of the collusion between the British government and fascist-aligned loyalist paramilitaries in the north of Ireland. It's one of the best publicly documented case studies we have in how those sorts of relationships function. And there's just a whole lot to talk about, so it's going to be a series. And the first video I'm putting together right now involves quite a lot of subtitling, just quite a lot to put together. "10 kilometers off, not bad." We go 4 of 5. This could be anywhere. I mean, not Hawaii, but a lot of places. Narrow bridge, 45 miles an hour. We're in the US. Yep. I mean, to be fair to the bridge, it's no narrower than the road on either side of it. I don't think we should be with-shaming the bridge. But I will signposting shame it, because where the hell's a sign telling me where we're going? Okay. Yes. I like to guess in an educated fashion, though. I like to have a little bit more than just fucking trees. That's just random. It is. Oh, hang on, there's a bin. 770 area code. It's Pollard's Binnery. Seems like it. Never heard of a 770 area code. Northern Georgia. Yeah. Mount Carmel Road in northern Georgia. It's a pretty little area. Oh, hang on, what was that just now? Georgia 362. Okay, goodbye Taiwan. Hello Georgia, but not the one with the good wine. Ah, is that Gengeros? Gengeros? How am I pronouncing that? And to answer your question, I don't know of any direct connections, but when you look at the people who have been arrested for that coup attempt, it is, for the most part, people who are very well connected politically. And essentially, what we've learned in various investigations related to the NSU, like in Spanish, what we've learned from all the investigations that we've had since the NSU, revealed themselves, is that the cops are, I mean, basically it's hard to really say where the cops end and fascist organizations begin, because like you've got situations like what has come to be known as NSU 2.0, where the cops were running fucking police national computer queries for Nazis, like in large volumes. They were totally illegal queries they were running. They got caught eventually, like, and in particular they were intimidating, sending intimidating phone calls and things to some of the lawyers who represented the victims' families in the NSU case. Then you've also got the murder of Walter Lübcke, a Christian Democratic Union politician who uh, was atypically supportive of the rights of refugees. And the people who shot him both had connections to the NSU. And the NSU, actually, one of the things found in their possession back in 2011 was a hit list with 10,000 names on it, and Walter Lübcke was on it. Nobody can understand. Nobody has come up with an explanation of why his name would be on 362. We're looking for 362 on that list because nobody had heard of him back in before 2011. Yeah, before, I mean, he became prominent in like 2015 because he basically said, refugees are humans and we should, treat them halfway decently, and Nazis hated him for it. But back before November 2011, all he was really involved in was like local urban transport policy and stuff like that, which nobody really gave a shit about. Where are you joining us from, Kinkeros? I don't remember what I said on the first time, so ah. Schöne Grüße aus Cordova. There was an Austrian comedy show where back when the World Cup was in Argentina. Ah, okay. And the joke was that the commentary was done by Germans who had been living in Argentina since 1945. 181 kilometers off, we were by Alvaton. Okay, 5 of 5. Okay, looks kind of industrial. Looks kind of Russian. Those, if I remember correctly, are gas lines. Hang on, what was that? Ah, just pedestrian crossing. Yep. NPS. Одесский. Lukoil. Стройматериалы. Okay, yeah. Someplace in Russia. Oh wow, got a surprising number of people showing up tonight. I don't think I've ever had 7 people in here at once. Where's my... Well, once again, I have lost track of where my windows are. Ah, there we go. No. Yeah. I've found that those, gas lines running over the street like that, that is something that's pretty much exclusively the former Soviet Union. Like, look at that. I've never seen that any place other than Russia or other former Soviet places. Okay, major river or body of water there. At least it looks kind of wide. Hang on, what was that? Probably something selling car parts. Slobodsky. Something can't make it out. It's too small and too blurry. Мы находимся где-то в России и не знаем где. But there is gas. Lots of gas lines. Yeah, more gas lines. Those look a bit scuffed. I wouldn't want to spend too long under them. Wouldn't want to have a cigarette under them. Oh no, no, no! This is Ukraine. Silodobovo. That's Ukrainian. But there's a lot of Russian. That makes me think Eastern Ukraine. And that also makes me think this is fairly old, because a couple of years ago they passed a law. They were trying to get rid of any, like, Russian on signs. Amongst, any other use of the language, really. Okay, now I'm thinking Adieski, because the name of that factory that we were at first was Adieski NPZ. I'm not sure what NP stands for, but Z is almost certainly Zavod, some kind of factory. So that is Odessa something. I mean, sometimes these things are named after places they're not in, but I'm gonna guess we're actually in Odessa. 4.2 kilometers off. There we go. 22,630. Not my best result, but not terrible. And it is exactly midnight, and it is time to fire up the grill and do some roasting. Speaking of which, have you heard about this bullshit with the gas stoves? Because, I mean, the entire right-wing bullshit cinematic universe is like, now is the time on Sprockets where we dance. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, so they've all declared that they're all outraged because they're gonna ban the gas stoves, and of course they're not going to. First of all, that would involve doing things. Second of all, it would involve spending money. Third of all, it would not primarily benefit rich people. So obviously nothing's going to be done about this shit. What it actually is a study came out saying that actually in poorly ventilated areas, gas stoves contribute to asthma in children, and there should probably be some mitigations. But they're not going to fucking do anything about it. If they were going to do fucking air quality mitigations, you'd think that the airborne pandemic that we're still in the middle of might have been enough prompting for them to consider doing that. But of course, I mean, so yeah, I guess they decided they were given sort of a choose your adventure choice. You can either get freaked out about the M&Ms again because that never gets old, or you can talk about gas stoves like that's ever gonna fucking happen. Okay. Yeah, hypothetically, they could pass a regulation that says that. They could pass some sort of, like, fuel efficiency standard or some standard requiring an extractor fan on new models or something like that. Or, buildings that are receiving federal subsidies of some kind to have some kind of, minimum quality extractors or something like that that they could do. But they're not going to do that. They don't give a shit. I mean, doing things like their main plan right now is to. I mean, the one of the things in this like spending bill, the bipartisan spending bill, is to hit the fucking increase the retirement age from 72 to 77. Yeah, I mean, even if they could touch them, if they could just with a stroke of the pen ban everybody's, well, it keeps on getting talked about. It's this bipartisan like budget bill. I forget the official name of it. It's not coming to mind. I'm tired. Um, but it's basically all sorts of budget cuts. I thought McCarthy finally got in. This is something the Democrats proposed. This isn't something the Republicans have. I mean, actually, the Ohio House is managing to be. The Republicans there are managing to be even more fucking. Well, let's find out. I'm not gonna vosh this. I'm gonna find out. Kevin McCarthy. Does the House have a speaker? The current House Speaker is Republican Kevin McCarthy of California. The 55th person to serve as Speaker, he was elected on January 7th, 2023, at the beginning of the 118th Congress after 15 rounds of voting. Hey, Phoenix. More attention was given to all the times that he failed to get in than to his actually eventually succeeding. Because that was just sort of fun to watch him suffer. Even if it was a bit ridiculous, the Democrats acting like they were in the audience of the farce as opposed to being major cast members. Okay. WTYP? Oh, I'm not familiar with Well, There's Your Problem. What did somebody say on Twitter? As we look around and see. Oh, interesting. Is this engineering disasters or engineering disasters? Okay, we actually already watched. This was just an advertisement for a really shitty right wing university. We're taking. Okay, don't need that. Okay, we've got PragerU Confessions of an Environmentalist. I think that's where we're going to start out. Nice little short to let's just start. And then we've got, wait a second, A Tanky Exposes My Lies by Vosh. Ah, it's both. Oh, yeah.
Just because
And what about? Okay, let's get this cropped. Oh, okay. The Muppet on Andrew Tate. Yes, that is also. We haven't done him in a bit. I say, yeah, why not? Let's do him. Okay. So this is Confessions of an Environmentalist. And did I increase the volume? No, I did not. So let's do that. This is our little short of the evening.
just because you feel like you're doing the right thing doesn't mean you are.
That is actually very useful advice for people who donate to PragerU, who have been convinced that they're doing the right thing, and yet they very much are not.
I have dedicated most of my life to protecting the environment, but I went about it in the wrong way.
Wait, okay, Brian Gitt. Who is this guy? First of all, his name is a British term for an asshole. I was the CEO of a consulting firm acquired by Frontier Energy, specializing in clean energy to commercialize new technology. And now he's all about like slagging off wind farms in favor of oil and gas. Which asshole are we talking about, Phoenix? I mean, the government is pretty clear. If the government was ever going to give a shit about what's going on with SARS-2, it would have happened already. I mean, as far as I can tell, either it happens from below or it's just not going to happen. Like climate change, really. Or dealing with fascists. Or dealing with the situation that we have fucking cops in this year of 2023. And we shouldn't.
I thought I was acting morally, protecting the well-being of people and the planet.
Which, see, you can tell because they've got all these paper dolls wrapped around the planet. Which reminds me, it gives me like a disturbing flashback to the movie Us.
In fact, I was harming both. I believed solar and wind power were the future.
I believe, yeah, it sounded like you said, I believe they were, which was going to be a bit of an odd way of phrasing that. But that's the thing, we're the only people who can do anything about it, really. We're the only people who are likely to do about it. But it requires organizing.
Only hope of avoiding
It's
environmental.
certainly not going to get better if we just allow the propaganda to lull people into this false sense of security, which is allowing this disaster to continue.
Catastrophe. Fossil fuels were the enemy, extracted from the earth by greedy companies plundering the land, polluting the air, and destroying ecosystems.
Okay, all of which, okay, true. Okay, he's teeing off for something big here. What's the payoff going to be? What did he find out about fossil fuel? Did he find out wind is bad? Did he find out that wind is the key ingredient in farting?
Keeping the wilderness as pristine as possible was my passion. Ever since I was a teenager, I've loved the outdoors. I led mountaineering expeditions in Alaska, spent months backpacking in the Rockies, and climbed the highest peaks in national parks.
Okay.
I only took jobs I thought would protect the environment. I started a company that built composting systems for.
So, well, there's your problem right there. You see, that's where your problem is right there, because you decided to try to protect the environment within capitalism, and that just doesn't work. You're going to have to just do a complete redesign on that.
Cities and businesses. I served as executive director of an organization that championed green construction policies.
Okay, which sounds more like an organization that probably gave these bullshit certifications to companies.
And then I became CEO of a consulting firm that worked on making homes more energy efficient. At that time, The Obama administration had earmarked billions of dollars in federal funding to create jobs in the energy sector, and my company won multi-year contracts valued over $60 million. I thought I was making a real difference in the world. I was surrounded by smart, successful, and ambitious people.
Okay, so this isn't so much an environmentalist as a guy who's trying to make money off of green capitalism. I kind of thought so. I mean, I was hoping that maybe it would turn out to be one of these one of the Earth First people who ended up snitching and decided to just completely go the other way. But no, what we've got is this dickhead who nobody's heard of and is just one of these green capitalist people.
Who shared my beliefs and my heartfelt desire to change things. And my company
And
had
they did
lots of
have
money and
faces.
lots of government support. There was only one problem. Our
Who they talk? They actually make Caleb Maupin seem less condescending, because who is this written for? This is how you would like tell this story to a 5-year-old.
project to build more energy-efficient homes was an utter failure. Making home energy improvements was much too expensive for middle-class families.
Yeah, what you're saying is that this stuff you can't really fix these problems in capitalism.
Even with generous government subsidies. Wealthy families, by contrast, loved the program. They got subsidies they didn't need in the environmental cred they craved. In reality, though, we weren't achieving much of anything.
So what you're saying is really they needed to have more subsidies, basically. If they had if they had actually managed to cover the full cost of all of this, so that working class people could actually afford to do it, then it would have been a much sexier. You're saying they didn't spend enough. That's where you're getting to, right, Tom?
Except wasting taxpayer
Ryan?
money. That's not how the government saw it. The government celebrated the project as a big win. It was a
Well, yeah, because it gave money to rich people. I mean, since when is PragerU against giving money to rich people?
great photo op for politicians, but I knew the program didn't deliver the jobs and energy savings we had promised. Maybe
Well, also, wasn't this part of a program that was going to be a lot bigger, and then the fucking right-wing media bullshitosphere decided to unearth the fact that, like, 20 years ago, the guy in charge of it had been part of an extremely earnest Maoist group that he'd long since deserted and completely cut all ties with?
I should have accepted the props and kept doing what I was doing. Energy savings we had promised. Maybe I should have accepted the props and kept doing what I was doing, but I couldn't. I began re-examining everything I'd believed about energy and the environment.
Why would this prompt you to... Wait, okay, so you began re-examining because the government didn't provide subsidies that would actually make it possible for people on low incomes to adopt technology that they absolutely need and would save them a lot of money in the long run as well? Why does that make you reconsider everything about energy and the environment unless you didn't really have very strong beliefs on the subject in the first place?
It didn't take me long to realize that I had been living in a fantasy world. Perfectly fine for making me feel good about myself and my mission, but perfectly useless for making real environmental change.
And this is where he realized green capitalism was a fantasy world and became a communist, right? Yeah, Van Jones. I knew there was a Van in the name. I haven't heard his name in so long. Yeah. Doug Henwood at one point actually unearthed, or I think it was Doug Henwood at the time, unearthed the statement that this Maoist group published on their dissolution. No, Van Jones was the Green Jobs Czar for about 5 minutes, and then Fox News said, "Oh, wait a second, he was a Maoist back in the 1980s." And and also, did you notice it looks like he might be black? And the Obama administration said, "Shit, Maoist and black? Those are 2 reasons he shouldn't be in charge of this. Thank you for telling us, Fox News. You're fired, Van." And since then, Van Jones hasn't been in charge of anything that might possibly be useful. Oh, I get what you mean about craving connections, Phoenix. Believe me. I mean, one of the things that sucks the most about this fucking pandemic from my standpoint is the one, I don't really, Cincinnati isn't my place. It's never been. But the one good thing about it is that I've got my wonderful, amazing nieces here. You know, I've got family here that I like to see. I've got a bunch of friends I otherwise never get to see because I'm generally someplace else in the world. And because there's this fucking pandemic, and because fucking nobody around here seems to be taking any kind of precautions, hey, Haku, we're roasting a bullshit PragerU video. Um, but Phoenix was venting about craving connections, and I was saying I know the feeling because I feel exceedingly cut off. Yeah, exactly. Uh, when we were talking about Van Jones, well, there are different levels. There is like just the bullshit ones that are insulting to the intelligence and just not very good. And then there are the openly vile ones. And I've been doing some research into PragerU's funding and how it connects to the overall funding of the right wing bullshitosphere, I came across a quote from Dennis Prager. Did you know that he banned the use of the word sucks in his household when his kids were growing up? Which you have to imagine must have made it very difficult to discuss his videos.
The more research I did, the more I realized that my project was just a symptom of a much bigger problem.
Yes, capitalism. That's right. Okay. This is based this is about an environmentalist realizing that green capitalism is a dead end because capitalism is not capable of solving the climate crisis. This is going to be great.
We're wasting trillions of dollars on the false hope that wind and solar power are going to replace fossil fuels.
Okay, now how much are you spending on the fossil fuels? Like, in terms of not just the direct subsidies, but the indirect subsidies, like having an entire foreign policy dedicated to ensuring that oil companies can put the prices whatever price point they want.
Oil, coal, and natural gas. Yet, over the last 20 years, the world's dependence on these fuels has declined by only 3 percentage points, from a
Well, it's maybe the fossil fuel companies have some sort of role in this. Just out of curiosity, did you know that PragerU is funded by fossil fuel money?
87% to 84%. That's a pathetic return on our investment. If we're serious about confronting climate change, protecting the environment, and helping people climb out of energy poverty around the world,
We need communism. Yeah, I know.
we need to stop chasing fantasies. Instead, it's time to honestly examine all the costs and all the benefits of every energy source: wind, solar, oil, coal, natural gas, and nuclear. Greenhouse gas emissions are a concern, but not the only thing we need to consider when discussing energy and the environment.
Okay, what else do we need to consider?
Here are 5 principles to help us evaluate the best energy options to protect
Oh, this is great. We're getting 5 principles, y'all.
both people and the planet. 1. Reliability. A reliable energy source provides power 24/7, 365. States and countries that have doubled down on renewable sources face energy rationing and power blackouts.
Well, not necessarily. Quite a few. There are not a whole lot of states that have actually put they have actually put renewables that in that prominent place in their system, but it's worth noting that that isn't the case. But what it does sound like here is like maybe some more money needs to be invested in getting the technology to where it needs to be so that it can be more reliable. I mean, that's probably true.
2. Affordability. The cost of energy affects the cost of everything else. If energy isn't affordable, ordinary people can't heat and cool their homes, and businesses can't make the products we want and need.
So, okay, again, I'm sitting here thinking that capitalism is really kind of the problem.
3. Security. Controlling access to critical resources needed to produce affordable, reliable energy is essential to national security.
Well, okay, so I mean, certainly solar and wind look pretty good there because it's not going to be possible to block access to the sun and the wind. But what he's saying here, what he really means is that having a foreign policy that had largely has to do with maintaining over control over countries with large oil deposits is fundamental to the business model of the fossil fuel companies. One of the perks of living in Maryland and just outside of DC, we were one of the states who took COVID seriously and to some degree still does, says Phoenix. Oh, God, I'm jealous. Around here, yeah, it was never taken seriously. I mean, it was just a complete joke from start to finish, and that's why we're in this absolutely disastrous situation now.
Over reliance on energy imports or minerals from other countries puts our nation at risk.
Oh, yeah, exactly. This is precisely why it would be important maybe not to rely so heavily on resource extraction. And I mean, this is making wind and solar look pretty good. We just need to get the technology
4.
up and running.
Scalability. Wind and solar resources are usually located far away from where people live and work, making it difficult, expensive, and inefficient to transport energy to where it's needed.
I'm I've heard something about wires though. It seems like electricity, if you have wires, it can sort of be transported anywhere. In fact, we in some places we have cables that are actually going across entire oceans. So it seems like this might be a problem that's already been solved.
Fossil fuel and nuclear power plants have safely operated for over a half a century within city limits.
Define safely.
5. Land use. The more land we need to produce energy, the more wildlife habitat we lose. A typical 1,000 megawatt nuclear power plant needs little more than 1 square mile to operate. Solar farms
And exactly how much land is taken up extracting the uranium that's needed in order to actually be processed to be used as fuel in that plant, and how much space is taken up by storing the spent rods, because that's kind of a lot of space. And
needs
unlike the fucking solar farms, which currently need okay, let's I'm just going to accept, I'm going to take these figures as read for the moment. Currently they need 75 times more land, but the thing is the land is much less fucked up than the land that is used to store spent fuel rods, extract uranium, and generate nuclear power using fission, currently available fission technology. The land, I mean, you can actually use the land that solar has been used for solar farms for other stuff later on because it hasn't been completely wrecked.
75 times more land to produce the same amount of energy. Wind farms need 360 times more.
And again, I mean, that's because the technology isn't quite there yet, and that's why you spend money to get it there. Oh, yeah, that George W. Bush bullshit.
I'm still devoted to protecting the beautiful landscapes, 100 times more land to produce the same amount of energy. Wind farms need 360 times more. I'm still devoted to protecting the beautiful landscapes I fell in love with when I was a teenager, and I'm still committed to raising living standards, reducing pollution, and lowering greenhouse gas emissions.
But you've decided that the landscapes you like would be aided by more cooling towers and uranium mines, clearly.
All these goals are achievable, but only if we're realistic and practical. Wishing won't make it so. I'm Brian Gitt for Prager University.
You see, and you can tell he's really serious about the environment because he comes on a platform funded by petro billionaires. Okay. I did not need to see what is climate change. What does Caleb Maupin think of Andrew Tate? That's what we're going to do next. That'll be fun. I haven't seen Caleb in a bit. I haven't actually seen him since he was explaining why actually everything, all the allegations against him were true. But the people who talked about them were the assholes because you're not supposed to talk about that stuff. And besides, the fact that he exploits his members' uh, economic disasters that he helps create in order to get them to fucking spank him. That's actually America's problem. It was an interesting video of his. But let's see, what does he think of Andrew Tate? A kindred spirit, you might say.
My opinion about Andrew Tate's arrest. Look, my opinion about Andrew Tate's arrest. Look, I'll just be honest with you. All right, I'm just going to tell you what I know about Andrew Tate. This is all I know about Andrew Tate. This is it, right? A couple weeks ago, I started getting inbox messages from people saying, "Hey, Caleb, have you heard they are working with Andrew Tate?" And I didn't know who that was, and I didn't reply. And they replied, "Aren't you mad about it? Here's all this negative information about Andrew Tate." I'd never heard of Andrew Tate before. Viking Dave, I'm with you. I don't know who Andrew Tate is. I have no idea who Andrew Tate is.
Then why the fuck are you doing a video about what you think of Andrew Tate?
And then you send me a resume about how bad he is. And I see that, and I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know who he is. Maybe that.
Well, maybe show the slightest amount of intellectual curiosity and find out who he is.
That's true. Maybe it's not. You know, a lot of people, anyone who ever associates with me gets sent a big long manifesto about how evil I am.
And that stuff's all true.
And I don't endorse that. So when people send me,
oh, well, he doesn't endorse the lists of bad things people circulate to explain why he's a bad person to be around. I'm shocked.
Aren't you mad at so-and-so for associating with so-and-so? Here's a big long manifesto about, I just.
Well, I mean, if you mean associating with anyone to do with Thought Slime, for example, he's kind of mad about that. He wrote an entire fucking book trying to claim that they're all just paid for by the CIA. So, I mean, it's not that he doesn't appreciate guilt by association generally, but he has standards. You have to do guilt by association the Caleb way.
Just ignore it. That's my response, right? And please, if anyone sends you, first of all, if you're on these streams long enough, eventually they're going to send you a manifesto about how evil I am.
Who's they? Like, who is they who's monitoring the people who are watching his streams to send them this ominous email?
And I would ignore that. And if you send you a manifesto about how evil I am, and I would ignore that. And if you send me a manifesto about, hey, Caleb, did you know that, like, Jenny Lynn, who's in your chat, once talked to a guy who's friends with somebody who did blah, 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 blah. I'm not interested. I really am not interested. That's how cancel culture works. So.
Oh, fuck off. Yeah. So what you're saying is the way cancel culture works is that people who do, is that somebody does some fucked up shit. And other people say, hey, wait a second, that guy did some fucked up shit. Maybe we shouldn't be platforming him. Maybe we should hold him accountable for it. And end of anecdote. That's what he's against. He doesn't like it when people are held accountable for doing fucked up shit because he does fucked up shit and he doesn't think he should be held accountable. Why does everybody have to be held accountable for fucked up shit? Look at Joe Biden. Why can't everybody just be like Joe Biden and get elected president when they do fucked up shit?
I had never heard of Andrew Tate. I got cancel culture messages sent to me. Aren't you mad that you're associating with this person who's blah, 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 blah? I don't know if he's blah, 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 blah. That's just.
Well, then maybe look it up. Maybe find out. Like, I mean, maybe if a whole lot of people are saying this person is bad news, then you're going to do a video about it, maybe what you need to do, Caleb, is spend some time looking into him. Because the thing about Andrew Tate is you don't need to go outside of Andrew Tate's own website to see what a creepy fuck he is. I mean, he has this whole thing on his website talking about how the way he made his money was manipulating women into doing sex work that he profited from. This is his fucking sales pitch for why people should listen to him on how to make money. I mean, that's Andrew Tate. So maybe they, whoever this ominous they is, forced Andrew Tate to lie about Andrew Tate in order to make him lots of money through his MLM scam. I don't know. I don't completely understand the thinking there. But, I mean, it would take you about 5 minutes to find this stuff out, Caleb.
That's what you said. I really have no interest in doing the research to find out. They're doing their own thing. They're not associated with me in any way. So I don't care. And that was my response. And I just ignored those messages. And that.
Well, that's kind of shitty. People have gone to the effort to point this stuff out to you, clearly because they truly overestimate your standards as a human being and think you care about somebody doing fucked up sexually exploitive shit when you're a person who does fucked up sexually exploitive shit. Sorry. So he's just saying, okay.
In any way. So I don't care. And that was my response. And I just ignored those messages. And that was that. I just don't care. I don't care. And so I'm just like, all these people, I got 3 or 4 messages of people wanting me to do something about it. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm not going to do something about it. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, get on the internet. I denounce. I'm not going to do that. I don't care.
You denounce people all the time. You've denounced Thought Slime like 50 times by now.
I just don't care enough. And if there was any reason for me to do something like that, it wouldn't be because somebody inboxed me. All right. I'll just tell you that. I suppose if I really cared, I could go and research this Andrew Tate character and be like, I shall crack the Andrew Tate case and come out with a position. I don't care. So that's what happened. And I just don't care.
Well, and I should note, this video goes on for another 8 minutes.
I just don't care. And I'm glad you're glad, class, because I just don't care. I've learned, after years of being on the internet, I have learned not to care.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have these assholes, right? And they're so big into cancel culture, they'll write an entire self-published, badly written, unedited book just claiming random people are CIA psyops. And also kind of suggest that maybe the Jews are behind it. Oh, and I mean that's some serious cancel culture right there. And I mean, I just don't care. I don't believe stuff like that. When somebody inboxes me a badly edited book claiming that everybody, oh fuck, that looks like Caleb and I own some of the same books. Well, except I've probably read them. Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't read things because reading things you see is cancel culture. Sitting and posing around a fucking pile of books, that's not cancel culture. But if you start reading them and have any kind of understanding, allow your understanding to be developed by what you read, that's cancel culture.
So then I have learned not to care. So then like today or yesterday, all of a sudden it was all over Twitter. Andrew Tate got arrested, and he like had a Twitter war with Greta Thunberg, and then he got arrested. Again, I don't know who he is. I don't know why he got arrested. I don't know. I mean, I don't like Greta Thunberg, but maybe he's an asshole too. I don't know.
Well, this is just the intellectual curiosity that you want in your Marxist leaders. This is a true working class proletarian intellectual right here, and un intellettuale organico, an organic intellectual, somebody who is just so curious about the world around him that he just...
And I mean, I don't like Greta Thunberg. He is. I don't know why he got arrested. I don't know. I mean, I don't like Greta Thunberg, but maybe he's an asshole too. I don't know. And I don't care enough to know. I just don't care.
This is why he is the intellectual leader of the ideological leader, according to the new bylaws of the CPI, incorporated now in the state of Oregon rather than New York for some reason. He is the ideological leader. He no longer has control over the finances, but he's the infallible ideological leader, and it is because he's a man who is truly thoughtful. And here he is just giving us his wisdom for free.
And I just don't care, and I don't like this. I don't like it, right?
I thought you didn't care. Which is it? You don't care, you don't like it.
And honestly, I think by not I made a tweet. I said, "Who is Andrew Tate? Why
Hey,
was he arrested? Why
Helstatine.
is this all over my Twitter feed?" And I let people respond, and I got a variety of different responses. And all those responses said to me, "Yeah, stay out of this one. You don't."
Wait, stay out of this one? Well, no, actually, I can understand why a guy who had an absolutely shitty response to being held accountable for using the CPI, which was already a shitty organization to begin with, which you can tell because it was run by Caleb Maupin, as like his own personal sex shop. Why he probably should stay out of it, but it's like I think what they're saying is that you probably shouldn't have a take on it, Caleb, because no matter what take you have on it, it's going to make you look like a shithead. Because if you say what that guy did is fucked up, people are going to say, but yeah, but what you did's pretty fucked up too. And you said that what was actually wrong was going public about it. And if he says, yeah, fuck it, if he says, yeah, I'm on team Andrew Tate, well, and people will be like, yeah, that's fucked up too. Yeah, I can see why people would tell him to stay out of it, because there really is no good, but I mean, this is not staying out of it. This is just sitting here like, I mean, there's not reading something, and then there's doing a fucking stream to talk about how you're not reading something.
Don't know anything about it. And, I feel like it is my obligation, if I don't know what's going on, to stay out of it. And that's what I would encourage you to do. If you don't.
Well, why isn't our obligation, if we don't know what's going on, to find out about it? And decide from a position of at least not being totally ignorant whether it's something that we need to actually have an opinion about or care about. Surely the first thing is find out what it is. Just kind of check. If you got the time. A lot of people don't have the time. He's got the time because this is what he does.
Don't know about somebody, you're not intensely following some case, and you just hear that something happened with somebody, don't dogpile. Right? There's all kinds of people who don't know anything about me. They know nothing about me.
Yeah, they're called the CPI.
They know nothing about what I stand for. They know nothing about anything. Right? They just saw some tweet or saw some dumb YouTube video, and based on that, they go into this whole thing about me.
Well, yeah, well, maybe you should up the quality of your YouTube videos if people see them and immediately have a low opinion of you. Although, actually, it's interesting to note, ever since the allegations about him came out that he then confirmed about all the fucked up cult shit he was doing, his production values have improved. Look at this camera angle. Somebody's using the rule of thirds, as opposed to just placing a webcam right in front of them on the using their front phone camera. This is a total improvement in his production values, which is such a weird thing to change right after the members of your group come out and talk about what a fucked up cult it is.
Well, I really would appreciate people not do that. Now, if people watch these streams, listen to what I have to say, and then want to, disagree with me, that's on them. But people think they know about somebody by reading a tweet. I don't know anything about this Andrew Tate guy.
Yeah, you've made that point a few times by now, Caleb. I mean, at this point, it's starting to feel like the questions that people have about your take about Andrew Tate have already been answered by the shirt that you're wearing.
I don't know anything about it. Right? And I know also that there's all kinds of stuff about me on the internet that's bullshit. And that if all you knew about me was what you saw in some tweets or what somebody inboxed you, you wouldn't know a damn thing about me either. So I just don't talk about Andrew Tate unless you really know about it. Unless you really, know who this guy is, you know the case, you know the details.
So this is a guy whose entire fucking publishing career is talking about shit he doesn't know about.
Talk about it. And that's just how I feel. I I don't know what's going on. I don't know, right?
This is the guy you want as your ideological leader. I mean, just the intellectual curiosity. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to find out. This is the guy.
Maybe this guy is an awful person who deserves. I don't
This
know
is-
what's going on. I don't know.
This is Marxist intellectual discipline. He claimed he didn't know who the head of that fucking fake ass Fash convoy was. The one that he actually made an entire video defending. In fact, if you look at his updated What I Believe in video, his Nazbol Catechism, he actually equates the fucking fake ass trucker convoy to Harriet Tubman, John Brown, fucking Huey Newton, Martin Luther King, and I think Sankara, sorry. He basically has this whole thing. Look at this tradition of, fucking Eugene V. Debs, John Brown, Harriet Tubman, Allende, Fidel, Kim Il-sung, Mao, Stalin, Lenin, and everything, and he goes through all this, and it's all very and there's lots of pathos going on, and the last scenes, as he's coming to his conclusion, are the fake-ass trucker convoy making sure that people in a residential area of Ottawa couldn't sleep at night with their fucking horns. And it's yeah, these things are totally the same.
Right? Maybe this guy is an awful person who deserved to be arrested. Maybe he's not. I don't know enough about it.
It sounds like people have been trying to help you to know about it, though.
And the problem with social media is everyone feels obligated. When the mob on social media is saying one thing, everyone feels this obligation to agree. It's like, oh, look, all these people can't be wrong. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, again, I give you the CPI. All those people could be wrong. We're wrong. They follow this dickhead.
Yes, they can.
I mean, it's just such uplifting, proletarian intellectualism we're getting here.
Yes, they can. All those people can be wrong, but all those people can also be right. So I don't know.
Well, this is why you look things up, though. There are these things called facts, and you can find them out, and you can get a general idea of what's going on, and then you can say whether you actually feel you need to have it taken. He's probably right that this is one he should sit out, but this isn't sitting it out.
No idea who Andrew Tate is. I think someone told me he used to be a boxer or an MMA fighter or something, and he does a social media channel. Okay, I've never watched his channel. I don't consume his content. I've never watched his channel, and I don't care. And
If Lenin were alive today, if Mao were alive today, they would make videos saying, I don't care about Andrew Tate.
No idea why he was arrested, and I don't know enough about it. And I don't know enough about it. And I have been the victim of people on social media all, thinking they know about me when they don't.
Well, except you confirmed that they were right a few times.
Right? And that's the thing is I don't know about this Tate guy. I have no idea what the allegations against him are.
He's saying he has no idea so many times over so much of this video that I'm beginning to think that he actually knows Andrew Tate possibly very well. Why the hell are you gonna spend... This is a 10-minute video, and it's mostly him just saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Maybe he's an asshole, I don't care. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I mean, it's he could have said this in 30 seconds. Why the hell is he protesting this much? If he doesn't care, then why is he making a point of telling us how little he knows? I mean, I'm not trying to say anything, but on the other hand, I know when I don't give a shit about something, I don't spend 10 minutes making a video about it, setting up the microphone, getting the lighting just right. Yeah, exactly. it isn't just social media buzz. He started some shit. He couldn't finish it. And the thing is, he openly, I mean, there's enough on his own website to tell you that this guy is bad news and is the deeply misogynistic fuck and also a scammer.
I have no idea what he believes. I don't know I have no idea what the allegations against him are.
Well, this is one of those things. It sounds like people were sending you emails to tell you what the allegations against him are. So what you're saying is people send you information because they, for some reason, think you're somebody whose takes are worth listening to. And they want to make sure you know about this so that you can give your take. And what you're saying is you don't give a shit about their correspondence, and you're gonna make sure to just sort of tell everybody 100 times that you don't give a shit. I mean, I'd love to do a counter on this, see how many times you said I don't know and how I don't care.
I don't know about this Tate guy. I have no idea what the allegations against him are. I have no idea what he believes. I don't know anything about him. Nothing. So, like, how am I supposed? And the more I hear about it, the more it sounds like something I just don't care about. I don't want to know. I don't want to know who he is.
This
I don't
reminds
know what.
me of something.
I mean, I don't like Greta Thunberg. I don't like her. So, but, I mean, but just because he's against her doesn't mean he's good. There's a lot of awful, there's a lot of awful people who are against her. So I just don't know. I have no knowledge of this case. I don't know anything about it. And
this is beginning to remind me of the car crash interview that Andrew Windsor had. Well, she's an environmentalist, and the environment is Malthusian. Because, you see, a true Marxist understands that infinite growth in capitalism is the only way forward.
I wish people would do the responsible. No knowledge of this case. I don't know anything about it. And I wish people would do the responsible thing.
And not tell me about things that they are trying to keep me abreast of.
I wish people would do the responsible thing. And just when they don't know about something, either investigate it or don't. Right?
Either investigate it or don't. So that's the responsible thing. Either do a thing or do the exact opposite of it. Do the responsible thing or investigate it or don't. Oh, Nightbot. Okay, we gotta. Sorry about that, Sorry about that, Mask. Hang on. Here's spam protection. Okay. That shouldn't happen again. I didn't mean for that to happen.
Mao Zedong, he said, no investigation, no right to speak, right?
And yet you've been speaking for 7 minutes and 17 seconds now.
If I really cared about this Andrew Tate thing, if I really cared, I would do a deep dive investigation. I would learn all about this person, and I would find out who he's backing and who's against him and what. I don't care enough to do that.
But you care enough to make this video, and that's kind of weird.
I just don't care enough. And because I don't care enough, I don't want to comment on it. And if it was a thing I really had to investigate,
I don't know if I'm going to get dinged for copyright if I play this, so I'm going to just drop this link in chat. This is what I can't help but thinking of when I'm watching this video, in the way he's just constantly coming back to, I don't know, I have no idea. This is what I can't help thinking of. Enjoy it.
And I really had to look in. And if it was a thing I really had to investigate, and I really had to look into, I would do a thorough, deep dive investigation and study the case, learn all the facts, and then make my decision. But because I don't have the time or interest to do that, I'm not going to. And that's what you should do. If somebody comes to you and says, denounce Joe Bob,
Okay, that is. If somebody comes up to me and says, denounce Joe Bob, I'm going to just wonder how I'm talking to the voiceover guy from every movie advert.
If you don't do a thorough investigation into who Joe Bob is, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't mean you should support Joe Bob. Right? If you don't know Joe Bob, you don't know who Joe Bob is, and people are coming to you and saying, denounce Joe Bob.
Well, maybe it's
Either
because
do
he
a
sucks,
thorough
though.
investigation of Joe Bob or say nothing.
Or, well, wait a second. This is you saying nothing, is it?
That's it. That's all you should do. Those are your only two options. I am.
But you've said you didn't do a thorough investigation, and you're also not saying nothing. So it looks like you've discovered options. This is why he's the ideological leader of the CPI, because when people tell him there are only two options, he finds a third.
Tired of this, I am tired of this culture where it's like, oh, the Twitter mob said something. They can't be wrong. Yes, they can.
I don't think it was the Twitter mob that got fucking Andrew Tate arrested for human trafficking, though.
It can also be right. So if you don't know about it, don't say anything. I encourage you. If you don't know about Andrew Tate and you don't want to know, don't say anything.
Well, then why are you... But you've been saying things. You've been saying a lot of... Actually, you haven't been saying a lot. You've been saying one thing, but you've been saying it over and over and over and over again, to the point where it really makes me wonder if actually there's something not entirely true about all that.
There you go. I mean, it's that simple. And if you do know about Andrew Tate and you've done an investigation and you confidently feel one way, say it. But if you don't care enough to do a thorough investigation, to learn who this guy is, to learn why he got arrested, if you don't care enough, keep your mouth shut.
That's wonderful advice, Caleb. That's wonderful advice. Why are you doing that?
That's my advice. Like, and yeah, and someone's saying a video on Tate would be a waste of my time. Yeah, it's
This is literally his video on Tate. Wait, a video on Tate would be a waste of his time, but doing a 10-minute video where all he does is say, I don't know about Tate, I don't know about Tate, I don't care, and then he repeats himself and tells other people to shut the fuck up. And that he doesn't really care if anyone tells him about any of this. That's not a waste of time? It's
not something I want to do. I don't want to know who this guy is. I don't care who he is.
But the SEO was just too good to pass up.
I just don't care. I don't care, and if I were to say something, it would be coming from a position of not knowing.
Well, yeah.
And that's a reason not to say something.
Or it's a reason to find out. As you said a minute ago, you said that you should either do a proper investigation of the subject or shut the fuck up. And you've managed to do neither.
I know who Greta Thunberg is, and I don't like her. And I've done enough investigation to know that she thinks economic growth is bad. She's being promoted by...
What you mean, so she's more of a Marxist than you are, and she's not even a Marxist?
By the World Economic Forum and by the degrowthers. I don't like her. But just because somebody doesn't like Greta Thunberg doesn't necessarily mean they're right. So,
yeah, I mean, it's worth noting, I did a whole video on this. Because Caleb Maupin doesn't know what the fuck degrowth is. He doesn't know what growth is either. It's like absolutely the depth... the just absolute profoundness of his ignorance of these like basic economic concepts is actually stunning. I mean, he knows less than I would have expected him to know about what growth and degrowth even are, and I didn't expect anything. But yeah, exactly, intellectual depth of a mud puddle. But I mean, the thing was that he did a whole thing talking about, how degrowth is bad, and anything that is even tangentially possibly reducing economic growth is bad. and anything, regardless of whether degrowth is the purpose of it, that has the possible result of economic growth being temporarily reduced is degrowth policy. And then he goes on to praise the then actually extremely effective COVID policies of the People's Republic of China, which are a literal. I mean, they're as degrowth as it gets. Oh yeah, I know. I mean, like you can't actually have any understanding of Marx. You can't have any understanding of how capitalism even works or what any of these things are, and have an uncritical view in favor of growth, because growth is not inherently good. It's not always bad, but it is certainly not always inherently good. And an economic system that requires infinite growth is going to cause some problems when it runs out of stuff to exploit.
I just don't know. I don't know.
I have
Okay.
Uno beads.
Okay.
My opinion.
Just
And
because you feel like you're doing the right thing doesn't mean
oh
you
no,
are.
not this guy
I have
again. Done with this dickhead. Okay. Yeah, so we actually finished 2 entire videos in one stream. That is a rarity on my program. And I just wanted to remind everybody, since not everyone was here when I was talking about it last, there are 2 projects I got going on that are both that, if you'll notice, there is on my screen. Hang on, that's the wrong one. Ah, there we go. That's the one. Here we go. I'm crowdfunding the costs for me to do a full English translation of a book by Alexandra Kalantai called Социальные основы женского вопроса, the social basis of the female question, which, amazingly, considering it's a book-length theoretical work by actually a fairly well-known, fairly well-respected Marxist thinker, has never been fully translated into English, and is even totally neglected in the original. I mean, the original that I've got, and it's the only one I was able to find, it's the only one that Mask was able to find, who gave me this idea to do this, is just a bunch of fucking, graphic files, not even entirely in order, badly scanned, not even a PDF to work with. And, I mean, it took me like 2 hours just to get them into some kind of order because there was a bunch of repetition and stuff like that. It was all... But anyway, so it's totally neglected, and I do crowdfunded translations of neglected text like that. Something that people would be interested in, but the thing is that there's not going to be any one person or organization. Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, you were working with with what you had, and what you had wasn't great to work with. So if it's, something that's in the public domain and is of public interest, but that no individual client is ever going to stump up the full cost of, that would make it possible for me to do it, which involves me taking time off of my normal, albeit quite boring translation work. So I crowdfund it. And so right now I'm trying to crowdfund the introduction, and I'm looking, that is 6,844 words, and I'm using a discount off my normal rate, which is 14 cents a word. I'm doing this at 10 cents, so it's $684.40 that I'm trying to raise over the next month, in order to do the introduction. And once I actually finish the first draft of the introduction, it'll be published on my Patreon. It'll be publicly available. And there will be, when I finish all of it, I'm going to go back and, do, some polishing and stuff. But the individual chapters will be available as I finish them, and I'll do them as I get funding for them. So that's one thing. The other thing to keep an eye out for is my series of videos on the NSU murders and what they can tell us about how state collusion with fascist paramilitaries looks. I'm currently working on the first video, which is sort of the intro, explains sort of all the issues that come up and all the things that I want to talk about in it. And there's a lot of work going into this one. It requires a whole lot of subtitling and a whole lot of clipping of really long videos and stuff like that. But I think it's really worthwhile. I think you'll find it interesting. I think you'll enjoy it, and that'll be coming up on my YouTube channel sometime in the next week or so. So thank you to everyone who's shown up. Thank you to the new people. Thank you to Haku. Nice to see you again. Thank you, Mask of the Red Death. Thank you, Henkeros. Thank you, Ludlow. Hail Satine. Thanks to everyone who supports my Patreon. And all my subscribers over at Hyperpolygliding with Elise, where I will be streaming tomorrow at about 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. I look forward to seeing you, and I will be back on this stream tomorrow night, same time, around 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. See you then. And if you have any ideas for videos you'd like me to roast, join my Discord if you haven't already, and just link me in the suggestions channel.